Hey guys, when I took off the throttle body recently to clean it, I noticed an oil leak here on the side of the engine. This is a common leak with age on SOHC engines with a single camshaft. Here I'm showing you a 2009 to 2014 Honda Jazz, Fit and City. It also applies to other models with single overhead camshaft engines like the Civic R18 engines, Honda V6 J series engines used on the Odyssey, Pilot, etc. This is a long video as I've shown step-by-step instructions for the shown model, so you could do it yourself if you wanted to. I already removed the battery. Always disconnect the negative terminal first. Now you don't have to remove the battery, but it's just easier to get the air assembly out. If you don't want to remove the battery, you have to take off the cover of the air filter and this cover also, and then turn it over to get it out. If you decide to remove your battery, know your radio security code if you have one. Disconnect the connector for the MAF sensor. Pull down on this locking tab and pull it outward. Have to remove this clip also for the wire harness. Now you have two 10mm bolts on either side to remove. Next, going to loosen this clamp over here where it connects to the throttle body. Slide out the air assembly box a little bit. We have to remove this breather pipe also. And just slide it out, and that's it. You should be able to pull it out. If you have a Jazz or Fit, you will be cramped for room because the cowl comes to roughly around here, so you may need to remove it to get more space. Here I have a Honda City, which is basically a sedan version of the hatchback. To remove the cowl, you have to remove the wipers. So remove this plug here, and you have a 14mm bolt here. You have to remove the driver side wiper first. This is a right-hand vehicle, steering wheel is on the right. For left-hand vehicles, obviously it's on the other side along with the wiper motor. Then you have to remove a clip here, and you have one on the opposite side too. The hood hinges have to be detached from the cowl, and then you have clips inside here. So you need to pull from the windshield side upwards to release it. Be careful of the windshield washer hose inside. You have to disconnect that. Once you remove the cowl, you have an under panel cowl also. It's a metal sheet, so it's held on by 10mm bolts. Remove the wiper motor first and then remove the panel. Now time to remove the throttle body out of the way. Gonna remove these clips for the wires. This connector, I think it's for the purge solenoid. And here we have this connector for the map sensor. And last we have this connector for the throttle body itself. The lock tab is on the right side. We have four 12mm bolts that need to be removed. Remove the bottom two first and then the top two, because there's a bracket on the back. So the bracket on the back, just hold it so that it doesn't fall into the engine bay. This is the bracket. Carefully move the throttle body towards the side. Do not stretch any hose. Take this out from the bracket. And do not lose this gasket, keep it safe. I'm going to disconnect this hose also to the purge valve to make it easier to move it on the side. Now is a good time to take off your throttle body and clean it if you wanted to. Take a picture of all the hoses so you know where each and everything goes. Be careful, there are some coolant lines that go to your throttle body, so make sure you don't make a mess. To remove this intake manifold, you have to remove these two 10mm bolts over here. Now this is a 1.3 liter engine and you have two bolts here. If you have a 1.5 liter engine, you'll have a third bolt over here. Pull out this brake booster hose. There's just a single clamp on it. These 5 bolts have to come out in the front. These are the last things to get off. Okay, once this is out, just lift this bracket up. Make sure this hose is disconnected. I did this before. And this should come off pretty easily. As with the previous gasket, keep these ones safe. I do apply a bit of silicone grease on it because Honda says to replace this every time. But by applying some silicone grease, I actually prolong the life. I'll show this towards the end when I put everything back together. Okay, the whole point of removing the intake manifold is to get more space because I have to remove the connectors for the injectors, which are located over here. The service manual also says to remove it. Plus, I might have to remove the spark plug harness, which is this. So with this off, it makes it much more easier. Now we have to move this wire harness bracket, this big one over here, off to the side so we get more space. This is the fuel line over here going to the injectors. I'm just going to remove this clip to move this off to the side. This locking tab, you have to pull this up and then slide it out. We have to remove these two 10mm bolts here. This one here is holding the ground wire and the other one is holding the bracket. Okay, this one that's holding the bracket is slightly different in shape and design, so keep that in mind, keep this separate. Unplugging these two connectors, this one is going to the air fuel ratio sensor, or you can say the O2 sensor. And then over here, this goes to a secondary oxygen sensor. I'm not going to unplug it, I'm just going to take it off the bracket. There's enough leeway with the wire to give me more room. For unplugging the fuel injector plugs, I'm placing my hands on both sides of the intake pipes. The locking tab is on the left, so using my left hand finger to press down on it while using my right to pull the connector out. This last connector is a real pain as I have no space for my right hand. I'm going to try to use a flathead screwdriver to push the connector out. Yeah, got it. The wire harness is held in by two places, one over here and one is on this side. You just have to pull it down and lift it up. For the second bracket here, get your flat tool or screwdriver between the harness and this bracket and to release whatever tab is holding it. Yeah, got it. See this hole here? You have to try and get it in that. You have to slide it out and over. And that's now loose. Just next to the injector wire harness, you have this connector here. The tab is on the right side. This is for your VTEC solenoid assembly. This is nice and loose now. Have to loosen this bottom one. Just remove this 10mm bolt here. Gonna loosen this 10mm bolt. It'll be easier to slide out this bracket. Okay, so this side is now nice and loose. I might have to take this up above. Let's see. There's one last clip over here holding this wire harness. Lift up the locking tab and just pull it out. I think we have a bit of room now. We still need to make more room. I do need to remove the spark plug connectors. 4 spark plug connectors to disconnect. Good thing we removed the intake manifold. This would not really be possible without it. Push this tab in to release this bracket and then slide it out from here towards the right, and that's free. Okay, I'm going to remove this. This is a breather pipe. You don't have to remove it, but I just want a little bit more room. Yeah, there we have much more room. I'm not going to remove this hose. This is a coolant line going to the throttle body and I don't want to deal with that mess. So the leak is coming from here. Now let's try to get the wire harness bracket out of the way. Let's push this off to the side. Okay, what else needs to be removed? Yep, there's another connector over here. You can't see it on the camera. That is, I think, the camshaft sensor. This is the wire here for the sensor and the connector's just here. It's a very tight fit, that's why I changed gloves. And it's slippery because of the oil. Cannot get a grip. The tab is on the right side. Oh, yep, got it. This seems to be in the way. This basically hose which is going into the throttle body, and this main pipe here, this is a coolant pipe. So I'm just going to remove this bracket to give me some more room. Hopefully this will be the last thing to remove. Yeah, got a bit more room. Now let's try it. Yeah, that's enough, I think. We don't need more room than this. Yeah, good enough. So the leak is coming from here. As I suspected, you cannot see it from outside. I'm going to clean it up first because I don't want anything to go inside the engine once it's open. Okay, I've cleaned it up as best as I could. There's another connector over here. This is a coolant sensor. You don't have to unplug it. There's enough leeway with the wire. This piece over here, this is a cam thrust cover. So this is a cover for the camshaft, which is located on the same axis. So this is a common leak point for single overhead camshaft engines. So this is why I said before, this is for many models. There are two 10mm bolts that have to be removed. Just be careful you don't drop these bolts into the engine bay. Now we have to pry this off. It's quite tight. I'm going to hit this over here to try and move it a bit on this axis so I could get a bit of a lip so I can pry it out. It's pretty hard at the moment. Now I have space to get a screwdriver in. Just do it carefully, you don't want to damage anything. Yep, that's loose. Let me get a cloth here because there might be some oil spill. Can't really get under it, but just pull it out. Not much of a spill. So this is your cam thrust cover. Clean the outer edge of this. Do not go deep inside because here is the start of your camshaft. We do not want to disturb that. Now over here, this is the camshaft sensor. This does have an o-ring on it. So in hindsight, I probably should have gotten that too to replace it. I just hope that's not leaking. Another potential leak point is over here, the VTEC solenoid. The seam you see over here, there's a gasket in between this. Now I've seen on the forums, many people say that if you change your oil on time, it will not leak. This has had regular oil changes and I do not see a leak. This can easily be replaced from the front. Whatever oily residue is present, I'm sure it came from this leak over here. I'm also 100% sure there's no leak from the valve cover gasket because I changed this 20,000 kilometers ago when I did a valve adjustment. Another potential common leak point is on the opposite side of the cam cover at the end of the camshaft. This is just a plastic cylinder head plug with a seal. It comes as a single piece. You could take it off from here itself, but if you see the design of it, it has hooks on the end of the tabs. When pulling it out, there's always a possibility for a piece of the tab, the hook part possibly, to break and fall inside. I personally would not risk it. The correct procedure is to open the valve cover top and push these tabs inward and push the plug out. We can see the seal on this. It looks pretty flat, so no wonder it's leaking. So this should be an easy replacement. Yeah, the seal does feel pretty hard in some places. Yeah, the seal is definitely toast. Just clean this from inside. Okay, this was a bit unexpected. One side of this, basically the o-ring had cooked itself onto this part, so I had to soak it in a degreaser. So if I look at this o-ring, this side here is pretty much, it's hard as a rock, while the rest of it, I would say 70% of it is still fine. So I'd say I caught this early. I mean, if the whole seal had gone, then I probably would have a much bigger oil leak. This is the part number which is used across various SOHC engines. I will pin a comment which lists all the models that this is applicable for. Now just be careful putting this seal on. Won't want to rip this now. It's going on pretty easy. Yep, that's fine. So with this, we can see a bit of a hump now, so that should seal pretty well. Let's see a before and after shot. The last thing to do is just coat this seal with some clean engine oil because we do not want this to damage when we push this back in. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. And that should be good enough. After all that, it's time to put this back. Just slide it in carefully. Do not force it in. You want it to go in smoothly and straight. Just align the holes before you push it in. Okay, going to just slightly tap on this. This is a socket extension. All done. Time for the bolts. Torquing these two 10mm bolts to 7.2 pound per foot. And that's it. This seal is all replaced. We're finally ready to close everything back up. This bracket here, I removed it off camera just to get a better camera angle. You do not have to take this off. Now I'm going to put everything back, and as I go along the way, I'll mention torque specs for the various bolts. By mistake, I put the intake manifold on top of the brown bracket when it should have been under it. I felt something was off, rechecked it, and corrected it. That's why I loosened the bolt of the bracket itself, though it is part of the standard procedure. But I had misaligned the bracket due to the incorrect installation and the bolts would not go in. Before tightening anything, it's always a good idea to double check if everything is seated properly. Another mistake with this purged solenoid hose, I did not route the hose properly the first time in relation with the other hoses. Here also it just didn't feel right. I was struggling to get it on. This is why I say take pictures, stop and verify if you're doing it right. That concludes it. Just put the battery in and connect the positive terminal first. On another video, I had 2 people comment that they actually find working on their Jazz an absolute pain. And I never really thought about it, but after today, I'd have to agree with them. Trying to get all the different camera angles and all the small things I had to open, clips, connectors, etc. It was a pain indeed. This O-ring seal cost me just under $2 from my local dealer. You could save yourself a good amount of money by doing this yourself, plus the satisfaction of doing it right. Between oil changes, I only lose around 300 ml of oil, and I always attributed it to this engine actually getting old, around 220 plus kilometers on the clock. But maybe it was this leak, and I'm glad I caught this early. We'll check my oil levels regularly to see how much this fix impacts the oil loss. Well, that's it for now, guys. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.